Hey guys, this is Cam315 back at it with another video for you guys, and I'm back with another My Hero Academia manga chapter review for you guys. And wow, wow, what a freaking chapter and what a plot twist we got here in this manga chapter. My freaking goodness. Well, we all thought the traitor was somebody, but it ended up not being who we thought it was. And let me just say, there are some people that, well, they're still kind of indifferent about the traitor theory, and then there's also there's a lot more people I've been seeing, like especially like people I've seen, like, you know, that definitely, you know, like this change or this plot twist compared to last week, which again, like I said last week in my manga chapter review, I don't know why people hated the chapter. The fact that we thought Hagakure was the traitor. I was all on the whole aspect of, let's see how this plays out, let's see what's gonna happen, and we'll see if something crazy comes out of it. And again, people are too quick to judge every week for one chapter instead of just seeing, okay, after a few chapters, is this storyline gonna play out? Lo and behold, a week later, guess what? This chapter 336, we get the true traitor reveal of the fact that it's Yuga Ayama, being the UA traitor, and stuff like that. And listen, I'm sorry if you got spoiled on that. It's your fault for checking out this video. That's the thing about the manga chapter reviews. Do not watch my manga chapter reviews if you do not keep up with the manga. Heck, I make sure to put it in. I'll make sure to put in the video title, like, do not freaking, like, UA traitor is revealed. Do not watch, not to be spoiled or something like that. And stuff like that. But it's very interesting to see this. I figured as much. It was an interesting plot twist, and when you kind of add up all the things that we see Ayama have done in the past, or the way he's acted in the past, it kind of made, you know, leads you to believe that, oh, okay, it ties in. But let's get into this manga chapter. This is My Hero Academia manga chapter 336, well, it's titled Villain. So we get a cover page spread of, like, some, I guess, like, favorite characters. I think, like, there was a voting poll of, you know, top 10, you know, fan favorite characters. Funny enough, the movie character of My Hero Academia World Mission, Rudy Soul, actually made the list, which Rudy Soul was a likable character. I'm not gonna lie, I did like him. If you want to get my thoughts on World Mission, go check out my review. It's on the channel, so yeah. But anyways, we start the chapter off with a training session of the fact that Deku and Bakugo are training with each other, and essentially we find out kind of how Bakugo's clusters, you know, works. And essentially what he does is he's saving up the beads of sweat for a barrage of booms all at once of an attack. And, you know, essentially that's what happens, which again is the whole thing from Endeavor. You learn about, you know, building up that, you know, stuff and then releasing that power, and stuff like that. Now he goes on to say it works a lot better, especially with the fact that he's wearing his winter costume and everything. So, you know, that's why he's able to sweat so much and everything, just wearing his winter costume. Which, listen, I'm honestly fine with that. I like his winter costume a lot better than his standard regular outfit he wears. Honestly prefer it because the winter outfit gives him a more badassery look anyway, so I'm fine with it and everything. Now he goes on to say that overheating himself does drain him, or does drain his energy and stuff like that, but, you know, he realizes he has to do it to get stronger, so, you know, he's gonna put up with it and everything. Now Deku makes the mention of the fact that Todoroki is actually trying something different as well, and we kind of find out that essentially, you know, Todoroki can control his left side as well as he can control his right side, and essentially they're equal. And essentially he's doing a combination of his ice and fire powers. So it gets to the point when he goes up against his brother Toya slash Dobby. He doesn't end up getting burned, like seriously burned like he did in the battle, in the last battle he had with his brother, and stuff like that. And essentially, there's a whole thing of having the same amount of output of power on both sides, which I think this is going to make Todoroki a lot more stronger and stuff like that. And it's going to be very interesting to see, how his fight against his brother is going to go, and stuff like that. Now, we see Kaminari and Mineta kind of talking like, we're actually gonna get stronger, we actually might have a chance and everything, we might actually come out of this, winning and stuff like that. Listen, we got Gigantomachia, tied down and everything, and once we find the villains, it's as simple as that. We can take them out and stuff like that. But then that's when Bakugo's like, okay, slow your roll, clowns. Let's get something straight. That's easier said than done. And Bakugo goes on to make the mention of saying there's 3 reasons as to why, it's a lot harder to do than say. He goes on to say, first thing is, well, finding the League of Villains and All for One is not an easy task, and it's damn near unlikely and impossible to do. The thing is, Bakugo goes on to say, like, well, we found, in the past, we found Shigaraki's hideout, the Nomu creation storage area and everything else in regards to any of their bases. But guess what? After the events with Tartaros, we still have not yet to find them and everything. And it doesn't matter, because guess what? Whatever lead we get, it's not even inconclusive. We can get there. And find that stuff. I find it funny how freaking Bakugo calls All for One a nutsack face, because technically he kind of is. Okay, yeah, so yeah. Anyways, Momo goes on to say reason number 2 is the fact that, well, in the last battle we had with Shigaraki, his body wasn't even complete. And guess what? We still couldn't freaking defeat him. So, if his body is complete, it's going to be a lot more tougher fight than we have. Also, she makes the mention the fact that, well, our numbers from that fight in the Battle of Jakku in the war arc, they have dwindled to like half the forces we have now and stuff like that. And then Bakugo makes the mention the fact that 3, they're essentially the ones who can pull the strings. Essentially, what he's saying is, since they're in hiding and we can't find them, essentially what obviously the heroes need to do is they just have to sit back and just wait for when the villains make their attack, and that's when, well, the fight's gonna begin. They just got to be ready for what happens, because they don't know where they're at. Essentially, All for One can dictate, when he wants to start fighting and stuff like that and everything. And obviously Bakugo's like, well, we can't do much of nothing about that if we don't know their whereabouts, so we can't take the fight to them. We're just gonna sit back and wait for them to come to us and everything. So, that's why we're trying to get everybody on our side as much as we can to be prepared for this, when it eventually happens. So 3 likely good reasons of the standpoint of why, like I always said, taking down All for One's forces is a lot easier said than done, and stuff like that. Now, Deku goes on to say, if nothing else, we can choose how to enter this fight. Hopefully it steers in a way in our favor. Now, Deku's like, I better go, rejoin the reconnaissance or the search team. But I liked how Ida's like, no, us, we will do that with you and stuff like that. And obviously, Deku's like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm not gonna do this on my own and everything. So, yeah, you get a nice little scene with Ochako in the background and stuff like that. With the fact that, because they bring up the fact like, oh, what's Ochako's theories and or thoughts, or I guess you say, why is Ochako so distant and everything? And Ida goes on to say, like, relations between Hero Corps and evacuees have grown warmer since Uraraka's or Ochako's speech. So yeah, and I think also from the standpoint, we're seemingly like, I guess, figuring out that we don't know this, but maybe Ochako has yet to have that one-on-one discussion with Deku. Because in this whole scene, she kind of is blushing. Now, it could be because of the whole speech and everything, but then again, maybe she just can't stand to look at Deku right now because she has feelings for him. We still need that one-on-one conversation where hopefully she finally admits her feelings for him. I want that to happen so bad, man. Please, Horikoshi, please. And stuff like that. So, yeah. Anyways, that's what happens then. Anyways, we cut over the forest, and essentially, like I said last week, the last page of the chapter was the fact that we saw Hagakure from the standpoint All For One saying, well, I got friends, and we all thought, the community thought, oh, Hagakure was the traitor. No, in reality, it was a bait and switch scene. Technically, the thing is, Hagakure is in the forest, and essentially the thing about Hagakure is ever since Deku had come back after Class 1A has brought him back, Hagakure is essentially saying that there's one person in Class 1A who hasn't looked exactly chipper and happy that he's come back, and if anything, he's looked very gloom and sad and stuff like that. And essentially, you know, she goes on to say, I'm worried about this person, and stuff like that. So what happens is, we see the fact that there's 3 individuals, and the 3 individuals are far enough in the forest area where there's no security cameras or nobody can track them and stuff like that. Well, other than, what's his face? Other than, Hagakure right now. Now, they go on to say, everything leading up to Kamino, you always pulled off just what All For One asked, and fail now and he'll kill us. You know that, Yuga. And we get a full page spread of Ayama being revealed as the UA traitor, and Ayama is very, very emotional here. And continuing on, I'll give my thoughts on, you know, the Ayama trader stuff at the end of the video after I'm doing this, going through the chapter. We also find out here the 2 other people Ayama's talking to is his parents. And his parents essentially are saying, from nearly the moment you started school here, you've honored his every request. You even provided him the forest training camp location, and nobody was even was ever the wiser. Also bring up they also say the USJ, but they just say the forest training now because yeah, but and stuff like that. Now obviously, like I said, you know, Ayama is very emotional. He's like bawling his eyes out with tears and everything, and his mom continues her statement saying, you know, you must know we never wanted any of this, and yet it's too late to turn back. So Hagakure is listening to this, and she's like, you're telling me this entire time where all the League of Villain members have been and attacked us, it's because Ayama was giving out their information? Because she free calls to the USJ, you know, the forest training camp arc and everything, you know, that's been going on and stuff like that. Now it's starting to make sense and tie in together and stuff like that. And essentially, his mom goes on to say, like, we only wanted to give you a shot at being happy, being like what everybody else felt. So we find out, we get a quick little flashback. We find out that Ayama, just like Deku, was quirkless. He was a quirkless individual, and he kind of felt ostracized amongst his peers until we know that Ayama, he comes from a very wealthy family. You know, his family is rich. So, you know, I saw somebody else's review of the standpoints like, you know, maybe we saw how people treated Deku in elementary school or in middle school, you know, when he didn't have a quirk and everything. And that one reviewer, I forgot who it was, said, you know, the fact that Ayama is essentially a very wealthy person, he's from a rich society, you know, those rich people who of course probably did even far worse than that, because they probably see maybe Ayama as essentially like, you're nothing special, you got no quirk, man, please, and stuff like that. And the thing is, Ayama wanted to fit in. So essentially, what we essentially find out, we don't get truly the full thing of how they got in contact, but they found some way to get in contact with All For One. All For One gave him the quirk Naval Laser, and stuff like that. And obviously the thing about All For One is, if you essentially have All For One give you something, or you ask All For One, he obviously will have something. He obviously will say this: I want something in return for your service, for my services. And then once you're in the all for one circle, you can't really escape him, which is kind of what they say. They're like, we're too deep into this and it's already late. And essentially, it's kind of the whole thing here where Ayama's kind of being forced against his will to do this, and everything, as well as his parents. Essentially, it's the standpoint, well, all for one's probably just like, well, I helped you with your situation. Well, now you gotta help me. So, please help me. And that's the whole thing there and everything. And it's kind of a whole blackmail route of the fact that, oh, guess what? You did this for me. Or I did this for you now. You got to do something for me. Otherwise, I'm going to kill you. Essentially, kind of similar to what happened to Lady Nagant, earlier in the story. The fact that, well, she trusted All For One. All For One gave her this quirk, an extra quirk, and guess what? When she decided to go turn to the good side and see the light of day, well, All For One presumably put her on the brink of death. And essentially, I wouldn't be shocked if the same thing happens here. The question is if All For One will know if Ayama and his family are going to play him, which, he knew that what's her face, Lady Nagant was gonna play him. It'll only make sense at some point he would see the Ayama family try to turn against him, and that's when he's like, okay, it was nice, fun and games, dead. Now, I think if they go that direction, that's going to be very dark. And Jesus, you're talking about killing off a member of 1A. And we always speculated this whole standpoint of, what if they kill off a character from 1A? We speculated that in the war arc. I definitely would not be shocked if All For One, finds out that Ayama is essentially betraying him. And he's like, oh, really? You're going to betray me now? Well, then, because of that, you're going to die. It'd be crazy if not only, All For One kills his parents, but he even kills Ayama. Now remember, from that interview Horikoshi had, he said that big things will be planned for Shinzo. And to this point, we have yet to see Shinzo. A lot of people were speculating back when Deku was on the run that maybe Shinzo could come in and replace Deku's spot in Class 1A. Maybe we're looking at it different. Maybe we're going to get a sacrifice death moment for Ayama, and essentially that's when Shinzo comes and replaces his spot in Class 1A, which, yes, would that suck? But honest to God, I kind of see that coming. I kind of see a part where Ayama might come to the realization this isn't for me and everything, and maybe too with the fact that we get the end of the chapter of when he eventually talks to Deku. Maybe All For One will see this and they'll be like, gonna tell the big hero that you're the traitor. Well, dead. And he probably blows him up or something like that. Don't know. That could potentially happen. Anyways, and stuff like that. So yeah, now Hagakure is obviously shocked about this. She's like, I gotta tell a teacher. I gotta tell somebody and everything. And we cut over to Ayama. Ayama's talking and he goes on to say, I've endured so much heartache. I had to play my part right to avoid suspicion, always putting on a brave face to smother my guilty conscience. When All For One was finally caught in Camino, for a moment I let myself believe that maybe I was finally free to, enjoy my life and enjoy being around the company of my true friends. So again, this is another quote saying that, well, clearly Ayama did not want to do this. He did not want to turn on his friends, the people he trained with to learn and understand and created those, relationships and those friendships. We see that Ayama is essentially being held against his own will, and he doesn't want to do this, which I think is a lot more likable trait of the fact that, it kind of adds that whole thing is like, okay, maybe he didn't have maybe when he first came to UA, he didn't have any sympathy for his future classmates, but the more he got to know each of and every one of Class 1A, well, maybe he actually grew appreciation, and then that's when the regret starts to kick in, like, oh, I really don't like what I'm doing now. And that's probably what happened. All this built up over time, just holding this guilt in and everything. And stuff like that. Now, his parents go on to say, oh, Yuga, please forgive us for being such, you know, stupid fools and stuff, stupid parents for going to somebody like that. And obviously, you know, Ayama's like, Mom, Dad, I'm just trying to protect you. I'm trying to do this, but it's so hard. And he goes on to say, like, I can't just let him kill you like this and stuff like that. So yeah. Anyways, you know, his mom goes on to say, you have to save us, Yuga. You have to. And all of a sudden, they hear rustling in the background, and Deku is right there alongside Hagakure, and Deku sees all this and everything. Now, Deku goes on to tell Ayama, like, Hagakure just told me everything that she heard. And Deku's like, you're the traitor? You've been the traitor this entire time, Ayama? And essentially, you know, Ayama's parents were like, especially his mom, they're at this point, they're kind of just deranged because they just can't handle this amount of stress. And she's like, that girl isn't wrong. What is she talking about? You know, and stuff like that. You know, Ayama, who has a connection to Midoriya, you know, he starts bawling his eyes out crazy, and he's like, Midoriya, oh Midoriya. You know, he goes on to say, I was the only one who couldn't say a word to you. In that moment, I was silent, essentially saying back when they were bringing Deku back to his senses in their little Class 1A versus Deku fight, you know, we know how everybody said something positive and kind to Deku of how he impacted their life in some way. And essentially with a few characters here and there who didn't get their moment to shine, Ayama was one of the few characters that really didn't have the heart to speak to Deku and everything to his face. And essentially, Deku goes on to say, you've been looking so gloomily lately, only you. I thought something might be wrong, so I came, you know, looking for you out here. And essentially the chapter ends off with Ayama kind of with deadbeat eyes and a kind of a chilling freaking, you know, imagery or chilling like panel is the fact that he goes on to say, yes, only me. I always wanted to feel equal. And this is when Ayama tells Deku, yes, at the USJ, and then the forest camp, you know, each time I led them to us. Do you hear me, Midoriya? And the chapter ends off with Ayama telling Deku, I am a despicable villain, which, goddamn, that quote just, man, it hits you so damn hard. Because he's like, I am a despicable villain. So yeah, essentially, oh, and then two, there was cheese pieces. There was cheese pieces. If you remember from the time when obviously Ayama gave Deku the cheese, it was left with a message saying, I know. So Ayama knew about Deku's secret all the way back then. Yeah. So next week for My Hero Academia manga chapter 337, there is no break. We are getting the chapter next Sunday, which is going to be great. I can't wait to see what's going to happen next in the story. Now, from the standpoint of Ayama being the traitor, I'm honestly fine with it. I was fine with whoever was going to be the traitor, with the exception of like maybe Ochako, because there was a lot of people speculating, oh, what if Ochako's the traitor this entire time? I would have not. I mean, yes, it would have hit emotionally, very emotionally, especially to Deku, because it's a person he deeply cares about. And then two, Ochako would have definitely, it would have been definitely a character of choice where it's like, oh, that would have been hit her hard because she would be turning against somebody she loves, like romantically. But I would have been upset if they made it like freaking Ochako as the traitor, somebody else that we grown to like as a traitor. I'm honestly fine with Ayama. I was fine with Hagakure or Ayama being the traitor. But the fact that, I will say this, the one positive that Ayama being the traitor over Hagakure is the fact that Ayama actually has a connection to Deku, because we saw just the growth and how they, you know, continue to be friends. And it remembers me of that one scene back in season 4 when, you know, Deku got to know Ayama a little bit better as a character and everything. And it's like, fuck. When I go watch that scene again, it's not gonna hit like I thought it was, because now it's like, these motherfucker, I know you're the traitor, bitch. Excuse me. I know I'm not gonna blame Ayama for this. Again, Ayama is being held against his will, and All for One's essentially threatening his life and his family's life, and he's essentially saying, I'm gonna kill you if you don't go through with everything I say, and stuff like that. So that's the whole thing. Now again, how will Hakakure and Deku eventually tell the others that Ayama has been the UA traitor this entire time? The question is, how will the heroes handle this? And how will the other classmates of 1A will handle this information when they find out that one of their fellow classmates was the UA traitor, and stuff like that. Now, I've seen some speculation go on the fact that some people say that, well, maybe they can use, Yuga Ayama's little, tie into All for One be a way of, well, guess what? Find a way to find the location of All for One and then have Ayama feed them information about All for One and what's going on his front and everything, which could definitely be a big help, if anything, and stuff like that. But listen, like I said earlier in my video, I kind of want to play devil's advocate to this whole role. And I've seen some reviews. I've seen most of some reviews, but I'm going to play devil advocates to people who say that whole, well, they could use Ayama as a way to be like a little recluse spy and feed them information. But listen, we're dealing with All for One. We've seen All for One, especially in this point in the story, find ways to outsmart characters time in and time again. And I don't think All for One would be that stupid to essentially make sure to feed information and everything on his side to Ayama, only for Ayama to tell the heroes, oh, this. And that's why I said earlier in my review, I think now the fact that the secret's out and 2 people know, All for One's gonna find out and he's gonna be like, well, that's great. They already know that there's a traitor. Might as well kill him before, kill him and his family before, they try to extract information out of me to feed to the heroes. I think All for One's gonna see through that, and he's gonna see that the Ayama family's gonna probably try to use me for information so they can feed to the heroes, so then they can maybe find a way to find us faster, and then guess what? We're in trouble. How about this? I'm just gonna get rid of them right here and now and leave this as a loose end to where they can't track me anymore. And yes, trust me, we've seen how dark this story has gotten to this point, but it would take the story to a whole nother level of darkness if Horikoshi is willing to kill a family and the mother and father and even the child, even a kid. Essentially, he's a teenage kid. If Horikoshi goes through with it, with my prediction is this. This is my straight up prediction. I think Ayama will be the person in Class 1A that will die, and he'll die because All for One will find out that, oh, they now know, even the freaking All Might's successor knows that he's the traitor. Well, can't let him do anything to where they're blabbing around my secrets and stuff like that. Gonna clear up or tie up a loose end. And essentially, like I said with Lady Nagant, he's gonna probably do something where he kills them within an instant, and they're gonna be dead. All of them. His mom, Ayama's mom and father, and even Ayama himself. And I'm telling you, if that happens, that's gonna be dark as all hell. Like, to kill a character from Class 1A off like that, especially a character who a lot of fans do like, all in all, and stuff like that. But it is very freaking interesting. That is my prediction. I'm calling it. And because of that death, there's gonna be an open scene in Class 1A. That's like we said in the Horikoshi interview. Shinzo was going to apparently play a big part in the final part of the story. You insert him into Class 1A, and he's the new member of Class 1A, replacing Ayama's spot because he was eventually killed by All for One. I think that's what's going to happen. I literally think that's what's going to happen. I don't think, because we look at this situation, Ayama and his family are in a situation to where now they're kind of, at a crossroads. It's like the only way I could see them getting alive of this is if they just fully commit to being on the villain side of things, which I highly doubt is going to happen, because they seem like they're very good people. They just don't obviously want to die, so that's why they're doing this. But I really do believe, I think Ayama is going to be killed off, as well as his mother and father. And that's when the story is going to get eventually dark. It's going to further create tension not only for Deku to have more hatred for All For One and want to have an urgency to stop the villains, but as well it's going to give more of a motivation to Class 1A. Okay, we need to take these guys down. They took one of our own out. You know, even though he was a traitor, he was still our friend. And stuff like that. And listen, if Horikoshi kills off a kid, I gotta give him. Now listen, I give him props regardless. I give him props for the bait and switch here. A lot of people, you know, who were doubting Horikoshi, listen, you motherfuckers need to stop doubting this guy. Holy hell. You know, I don't read the One Piece manga, but my god, he's right up there with some of the best freaking manga, you know, creators, you know, in manga history. He's up there with the Akira Toriyamas, the Ichiro Odas. He's up there. I think we need to stop doubting him and stuff like that, and just see how his story plays out. So yeah, that's the one thing. But other than that, that's kind of it. That's my thoughts on My Hero Academia manga chapter 336. You know, so yeah. So if you guys like the video, leave a like. Put in the comment section your thoughts of Ayama being revealed as the traitor, as well as your thoughts for the outcome of what could happen to Ayama. Could they go with the route of he gets information from All For One only to give to the heroes? Or do you think that they will actually kill off Ayama? I actually think they're going to do it. It makes complete sense in All For One's personality, because we saw with Lady Nagant, he wanted nothing to do with it. When Lady Nagant wanted nothing to do with All For One after she fought Deku, All For One's like, so you're gonna betray me after you assisted me, and now you want to go back and be a lovely hero. Well, I'm gonna make sure your hero days are over. Boom. And essentially Lady Nagant's gonna make it through, but she's literally on death's door, you could say. Everything. I think in this difference, I think they're actually gonna kill off Ayama and his family, because that will just make a statement of like, okay, All For One's just not playing around no more. He really doesn't want the heroes to know about anything about him. So I definitely could see it. And again, like I said, we did see a recent death with Star and Stripe, but I definitely think, you know, killing obviously a character from Class 1A, it's going to hit even harder, because we knew this character. We, you know, went across the same journey as this character, and it would be absolutely shocking / really freaking dark they go that direction. So give me your thoughts also too. Do you think Ayama will be killed off by All For One? I just see it coming. I won't be shocked if that happens. I won't be shocked. As well as hit the subscribe button if you want to get more My Hero Academia content, whether it's the manga chapters or when the eventual 6th season of the anime comes back, and we will be talking the war arc with my co-host, the Red Wolf. Other than that, guys, I'm your hopefully you guys have a great rest of your day and now checking this video. Until then, guys, I'll see you guys on the next My Hero Academia manga chapter video next Sunday. Till then, guys, peace.